it's going to be too late for everybody watching this, but
Hmm.
for us, early bird catches the podcast or whatever. Um, Paul Thurrott, if you go outside at approximately 9:30, between 9:30 and 9:35, depending on countdown, and you look to your east towards Virginia, there's going to be a rocket that launches that I can feasibly see from my house too.
So you want me to look toward Virginia, not east, because east of here is New Jersey.
Well, like that general. Look for.
Froze. Oh, it just froze.
It just said,
I
hold
missed
on.
yours.
But that's what the screen said.
Oh.
I thought you hit spacebar again or whatever you used to do on Skype and always.
Froze. That was.
Anyways, if you look in that general direction, you should see like a.
So is this a SpaceX thing?
No. I don't even know who's. It's a Minuteman like launch or something. It's not SpaceX. It's a weather sat. It's something to do with NASA and weather. I don't know. I'm just pumped that I can potentially see a rocket launch from my house here, which
Yeah.
I got to be.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if I can see it, but like we're in the circle of. It says after 120 seconds of launch, like I should be able to look up and see like a little telephone pole.
See something racing through the sky.
Just praying that it lands on me.
Here it comes. It's coming right for us. That would be quite the luck to get hit by something like that from space.
Oh, I just want it. This sounds terrible, and this is going to come and bite me in the butt. But like, just take out like half the neighborhood.
Would you like to tell me which half you'd like taken out,
Yeah,
Brad,
we'll just-
or is that something we don't want for the trial?
Why is he punching a guy? He survived. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Oh, because everybody's been dying for this to happen, Paul.
Yes.
Speaking, going on the death thing here. Amazon Luna. Everybody's been.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the quality of the service is good.
Yeah, it's fine.
The one thing you don't see anywhere in their marketing materials is we have X number of games.
Like what?
Because that number is not big, and that's the problem. And but as far as latency and with the controller and all that stuff, honestly, it might be the best.
And they're all that you hit the point. They're all fine. The problem is, you're gonna like log into play Sudoku or something, or what are the games from like the 80s that are probably now out of copyright protection? Like you can go and log in and play Lemmings.
Sure. I guess I don't
Pong.
know. I
Asteroids, Frogger.
I mean, I haven't done this in a while because the experience isn't that great for me. But any day now, I guess the former xCloud, Xbox Cloud Gaming, could go live for everybody on non-Android devices, right? So the web, basically, which brings you to Windows, the Mac, and iOS. And the experience was not great when I tested this. So I'm not really sure, from like a latency lag perspective or whatever that is. I think Microsoft needs to do the Wi-Fi controller thing. I think that needs to be the next.
I think they do too, and I think they're going to eventually. I think this is potentially part of that streaming hardware that Microsoft talked about.
Yeah, right. And it's interesting. I don't remember if I did this. Microsoft makes a dongle that you can buy today for an Xbox controller.
Yes,
and most people don't do that because you can just connect it with Bluetooth. But that dongle has the Xbox protocol in it, and it may not be. I don't know if they've updated it since then, but it's still better than Bluetooth, right?
Oh, it's way better.
Yeah,
significantly
and
better.
I think that's the trick. And we kind of lost track of this, but a couple of years ago, the PC makers or Microsoft started talking about how gaming PCs were going to build this in. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And that never. I'm sure one or two happened, but it's not a thing. Like you don't.
Yeah.
New gaming PCs are announced fairly regularly. You never hear about this Xbox protocol built in, or how whatever the chipset is. That would help enormously.
Yeah, it really would. I think doesn't the Surface Book 3 that I'm sitting here looking at have that built in?
Does it really?
I think it does.
You should find out. That's interesting.
I know the Surface Studio did. I think.
Okay. But typically you'd want it in a gaming computer, right? Like a gaming class computer. But it's too bad they couldn't have. Well, I don't know. You can't really make it they could make it a standard and make it, work with. Microsoft's working with all browser makers on extension standards. How about working with all the controller/console makers and saying, let's work toward a standard here for connectivity?
There's a great. I'm sure we've talked about this XK CD whatever comic. It says there are 13 competing standards, and then the middle panel is, we need a new standard that combines all the 13 standards. And the next panel is, there are 14 competing standards.
Yeah, yes. As you were saying, I was trying to remember if I tried. I mean, I guess USB technically should give you the best possible connection, but I
would think it would.
I can't. I don't even remember anymore. I think the issue is just that it's not really out yet for everybody. It's not broadly available, so I can't remember what I wrote about it. I can't remember anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
What else is going on? There's some really popular tweets making the way around about this Google Workspace thing. Not so much whatever it is, but it's just that screenshot that you used as like the cover image. Going, this is a cry for help from the design agency. Because it's a little rough.
I don't care about Google Workspace. I'm never going to use it. I mean, I technically use it because it's, part of my product.
I use the email. I don't know. I keep looking at like their documents, and Microsoft's sort of getting there with this fluid framework, but there's a product out there called Notion, and for whatever reason, my smooth brain is very enthralled with this because it's just basically like a blank canvas, but you can just drop stuff into it and it all links together, which is where Microsoft is sort of going, but they don't have a product that matches it yet, and Google sort of does with their Sheets, and Microsoft like has all the components.
Is it more than just like a notes app or whatever?
Oh, it's way more than a notes app. Like it's sort of like a free canvas, but you can drop tables, you can drop everything. You can affect it. People use it as a database. It kind of reminds me of like Access, Microsoft Access in a way, but there's like a prettier front end. Yep. Unlike the people on this podcast, and then you can just tie it all together, and it links, and you can create workflows with it. It's like a really neat product.
Yeah. Well, right.
You should take a look at it. I think you would like it if you can sort of figure it out.
There are a million apps that kind of look like this. I'm not saying that they have the same functionality. I always look at something like this and I think to myself, why doesn't OneNote look like this?
Exactly. Exactly.
Because at one point I was like, well, OneNote must have the same back-end writing tools. I could just use this. And then my notes will sync between devices. This is probably back in the days when OneDrive Sync either wasn't available or didn't work reliably. And but it's not the same. And I can tell that by just taking a text that we create, like a notes from a podcast or something, and pasting it into a web form. It's full of garbage. I have to go through Word and then clean it up a little bit and then paste it over, and that works fine. So they're not the same, and that doesn't make sense to me. Like they should be the same.
Yeah, there's the thing that's kind of linked me into LinkedIn. Oh my god, I just said it. Tied me into this is that Notion can now do effectively like web publishing, so you can turn these things into web pages. And what people are doing with them is creating like editorial workflows for people, so you can come and like do pitches and all sorts of stuff, which is really useful over on the Petri side. Yeah. And I thought about doing that, but then it's like, man, I always laugh when we work with an unnamed client and then they invite you to a meeting and they're a Microsoft service provider and they send you a Zoom link. And it's like, really?
Yep.
And so
let me think about this. I don't think there's a PC maker on earth that uses Microsoft Teams for meeting stuff online. Yeah. Like I don't think, not that I can recall.
Yeah. So anyways, I feel like I'd like to do this inside of Teams or some sort of Microsoft app. And they have tons of stuff. They have like lists and SharePoint lists and to-do lists and task lists and everything else.
This, right? We exchange not you and I usually, but no, sometimes we do. You exchange a document via Teams. And the default now is when you click on that document, it opens Word Online inline inside of Teams. And this kind of speaks to this notion where Teams is the shell and everything kind of happens inside the shell. And you can still download it, obviously, and just load it up in Word or Excel or whatever. But I mean, they're making a really good case for this thing being the platform. I mean, at some point, there's not going to be anything you have to go outside of the app to do.
Yeah. Yep. So, anyways, we'll see if they ever go there. That's all we got.
Yeah, not a lot going on. I should mention before we leave,
Mhm.
I'm going away Thursday.
Oh, thank goodness.
Well, through next Tuesday. I guess we don't have anything planned for a podcast during this time, but I don't mind doing like a man on the street thing one day, like maybe Monday or something, if you want to just do a goofy little.
Yeah.
I am in a different country, hopefully. Please, God, I need to get out of here. Yeah, sorry.
Tied into that vaguely is my post on like the road trip in my car is like nearly done. I got a bunch of people asking when I was going to post it. And I was actually timing it up for when you were going to be gone.
That's smart. Yep.
So
I'm not going to do Ask Paul this week, for example. So there'll be a little bit less premium content this week. So.
It's either going to be Friday or Monday. It should be good. It's long. I'm not done yet, and it's like 2,300 words. So
yeah,
there's a lot going on in there. For better, for worse.
or the other thing.